a gun owner, but I'm a responsible gun owner. We do not, under the law, we're not supposed to show and expose the firearms, and you can only bring short arms. Pero dito sa area, parang mga ano pa rin parang proliferation of private armies and armed groups. So may we ask a comment from the PNP or the ILG? That's why I was hoping Secretary John Vic would be here, but he didn't answer our call. So, yes, Yusek Marlo, or the head, the highest ranking officer of the PNP may answer. General, please.
Yes, sir. Been monitoring that footage in the social media, and we refer that already to our ACG, sir, and we believe also, sir, that those individuals who are carrying firearms are part of the members of the PIAGs, or our from the MINF, or from the who are in inside the camp, sir. So yeah, we would like, and what we have to do, sir, is to bring this matter to the our partners in the MILF to remind the members of those, to remind their members, sir, of not doing such things, sir.
Yeah, but eventually, diba, that's why we came up with the Bangsamoro Organic Law, Secretary. In fairness to the AFP and PNP, they were looking at the political solution. Wasn't this the political solution that we enacted to make sure that we can decommission the soldiers and fighters, integrate them into the government? They now become the protectors of the people, but on a government capacity, hindi na po as an armed force that neither here nor there. Diba? Kasi partners natin eh. So, Sec, may you want to answer, and maybe I'll also throw the question to the BTA on that, because it's useless if we have a political process. What we did was just we created more positions for election, but no lasting peace, because there's still the opportunity of an explosive situation, diba? Because of all the arms in the region.
Sir, that is the reason why you are correct, Your Honor, that we need to have this election, because I believe some of those posting is basically politically motivated. That's why the election is very important. That it should be taken this year, because we believe after we have a very strong governance features, full autonomy in the BARM will greatly create a very positive, peaceful situations in the area. I believe some of those posturing, may mga ano po yun sa mga political natin.
No, I was just asking because I have some of these videos, and I should have just posted them para makita lang nating PNP tsaka ng AFP. Medyo alarming kasi siya. It doesn't paint a bright picture for the area. Kasi syempre, makita mo may mga bata, may dalang AK-47, M16s, assault rifles. Hindi magandang tignan. Tapos pumuputok sa dagat, pumuputok sa mga coconut areas. And then they're freely walking around, laughing with all their long arms. Hindi magandang tignan yan. If we want to promote tourism, especially in the area, kasi yung growth na yun ng BARM, napakaganda. Tourism, agriculture, ang daming gustong mag-invest with BARM. So we must promote an environment of peace, and that does not promote an environment of peace. So maybe can I ask Deputy Speaker, or who is the highest ranking member of the BTA, how we are addressing the issue of this proliferation of long arms by these groups? Is there an effort by the BARM? Is there an effort by the BARM to reach out to these armed groups to continue the decommissioning, recruitment into government service by the former combatants? Meron pa tayong nagawa in the last 7 years, because we passed this in 7 years. anyone could answer. Yes, Attorney Nabil Tan, our MP.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I go to that, can I just comment on the earlier comment, discussion that was made on the special geographic area?
Yes, please.
I understand when we called on you with the Senate President, there is a pending Senate bill authored by no less than the Senate President creating the province. So I think there is urgency in doing that, Mr. Chairman, because as of the moment, they are being deprived of resources and representation. They cannot vote in the province because they're no longer part of the province, and they also cannot get resources. So I guess if it will please you, Mr. Chairman, we appeal that that special geographic area bill of Senate President Tito Soto be already considered. Going to the issue of course, there is no.
Can I just ask, was it referred to the Committee on Local Government? So Senator RSP filed a bill
Yes.
already.
That was our conversation the last time we made a call with the Speaker.
Sana sinabihan mo ako, Attorney Nabil, para ma-actionan ko.
You were there, sir.
Was I there?
Oh, yes, with Speaker Yakub.
How come it's not being taken up? Kasi as Majority Leader, I only control the flow in the plenary. We have to get it out of the committee.
Yeah, previously daw it was Senator Padilla who filed, but I think the latest version is Senate President Tito Soto.
I will try my best to see what is going
Yes,
on in
thank
the
you,
committee.
sir.
Kasi committee system kami dito eh. And then maybe if it's not moving, baka ako na lang gawin na lang nilang subcommittee chair para maggumalaw.
Yes
na lang
po, that will be most welcome because people are waiting.
So I'll find out the... Thank you for
Status.
reminding me. Yeah, thank you for reminding
Thank
me.
you. I remember that because I was part of the delegation that made a call on.
That's what I
Senate
remember
Pre-
now.
You join us, and you join us in that meeting.
I will try to see because if it's not moving, I will request the chairperson
Thank you.
to make me the subcommittee
That will be most welcome.
para we can finish that once and for all.
Now, on the proliferation of firearms, I guess it is best left to our law enforcement. And on the decommissioning, it's only the joint panel between government and the MILF that can discuss that because decommissioning is part of the normalization track as contradistinguished from the political track. So, yun lang po ang namin na the Parliament has no participation in that aspect. We can just monitor what's happening and what is the degree or status of the decommissioning. Because after that, you have to sign the exit agreement. When the provisions of all the peace agreements have been complied with, then an exit agreement should be signed. Whereas you say parang, eto na, tapos na tayo, pirmahan na natin. So, I hope that we can reach that point where we can have a conclusive ending on the peace process. So, yun lang po ang masabi ko. But we leave to the law enforcement agencies and the AFP on the proliferation of firearms in the area. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Yung ano lang kasi, gentlemen and ladies, is that we're all in unison here. I think we're united that the Bangsamoro Organic Law was a political process of the peace process. It was the political arm, right, of the peace process. Okay. Now, my worry is we might have sidelined the peace process because now we're all political monsters. We're all political monsters who just want to get now our parliamentary seats, who want to be part of the parliamentary party system. Parang nawala na bigla. That's what I'm worried about. Maybe in the executive, I'll ask, of course, the representative of SAP Lagdameo after this. That is my number one worry. Where are we now? Because the reason why we moved this forward was after the Marawi incident, where we want to make sure that it will never happen again, that our partners, I consider them our partners, the MILF and the MNLF, are both happy with the situation. Kasi nangyayari na yun, parang, with due respect, again, no, and because I love you guys and I love Mindanao and I love BARM, parang nangyayari, nagiging politiko na lang na ulit ang kausap ko. The same political faces, the same political groups, nawala na naman yung dalawang grupo, the disenfranchised, baka mamaya na naman, balik na naman tayo sa trabaho. All we did was come up with the funding for a political setup and then sa autonomy. But again, people are disenfranchised. That is my biggest worry, guys. I'm really, really worried. And I will just recognize the SAP office of the SAP, and then I'll recognize Attorney MP Ali.
I just
Yes, please, Nabil.
pala sa may nilagay tayo sa BICAM noon, maalala nyo, nung binubuo natin ng Bangsamoro Organic Law, yung suggestion ni Senator Lacson and the late Romy Acop, Ray Acop, Romy Acop, na magkaroon ng recruitment ng MILF, combatants and MNLF. Yun po, nabinbin yun dahil nabimbin po yon na ngayon pa lang tayo mag-i-implement yata, kung mag-i-implement, dahil sa technicalities na yung 5 years nag-lapse na hindi pa na gagawa yung recruitment. So I'm talking to the Attorney General of the BARM. Nagkausap na raw sila ng NAPOLCOM Vice Chairman, si Ralph Calinisan, na itutuloy na, babaguhin na nila guidelines kasi nanindigan sila na lapse na. So doon sa IGRB at saka PCBF, Technical Working Group, naging hindi po nangyari yung dahil nag-lapse na raw. Pero the NAPOLCOM now has agreed to revise their guidelines at gagawin na hindi na upon ratification but upon the issuance of a new guidelines. So, yun po ang siningit natin na kung payagan natin yung MILF, MNLF combatants mag-join sa police. Although sa police lang yun. Sa MNLF, meron non-integration, police and AFP. So, yun po ang tungkol dyan sa recruitment na mangyayari pa lang ngayon after so many years.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be recruitment to the AFP or PNP. It can also be, they can be farmers. You bring in
Yes.
Dole and Del Monte there. They can now be farm workers. They can now be they can have their own livelihood. Diba? Yan ang dapat focus din natin. Let's not lose the focus. Everybody's focusing now on the elections and they want to get elected. Ako nga been there, done that. I was a senator. I resigned as a senator. I became senator again. Then umabot ako ng Senate President. Tinanggal ako pagka-Senate President. I'm back as majority leader, 4 times elected. And then yesterday, I said I offered my position para lang magkaroon ng peace sa Senate. I said, if you guys want my position, yeah, I can have it. What's important is the stability of the institution and the stability of the country. So sabi ko nga, let's not lose focus on the issue at hand, which is peace. Kasi tama yung election, that's part of the suffrage, but I'm just worried that it's back to square one. We're dealing with the same... okay, moving forward. Attorney Ria Lumapas, ma'am, please, from the Office of the Special Assistant to the President.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Thank you for this opportunity. Commissioner, honorable members of the Commission, Chairman George and Secretary Galvez, and partners in peace and colleagues in government. I just want to jump in, sir, regarding all the questions that you raised, which are all very valid regarding the peace process. So that's why this elections that we have right now, at the outset, I would like to also present our position. The position has always been to conduct the elections. The President has been very consistent also in saying over the past years that, we want to conduct the historic first BARM parliamentary election. So in the days leading up to the May 2025 national regional local elections, and even during the 2024 decision of the Supreme Court excluding Sulu, we've been pushing for the next, the earliest possible time. Now that it's 2026, we would have wanted it to be in the first half of the year to make it as soon as possible. But of course, given that the conduct of the elections falls within the mandate of the COMELEC, and in consideration of the issues on the operational and logistics concern that were raised, then we defer to the COMELEC on the conduct of the elections. But we really want it to happen as soon as possible. Now, what I want to emphasize also to the body here, and also to elucidate and elucidate everyone on the whole peace process, to reinforce also what Sec Charlie said, Senators, Your Honor. The elections should not be considered to be conducted in a vacuum. So this is what we're saying, that the elections should be viewed in light of the comprehensive agreement on the Bangsamoro. That should be the perspective behind it, because the elections, there are two tracks to the peace agreement that we have, the political track and the normalization track. So the political track, this is the last box to tick in the political track, the conduct of the elections. And so it shouldn't be divorced from the normalization. So even if, yes, everyone is focused on the elections, but it's also one of the boxes that we tick in the political track of the peace agreement. So it shouldn't be divorced from that. Now, as soon as we have the elections, now we can finally focus on the normalization. And sir, Your Honor, the security concerns that you raised are all very valid, and it's unfortunate that we had to see that. But more importantly, I guess the more important thing that we need to consider is that there's no vertical violence. There's no violence between the GPH and the MILF. And so with the law enforcement, the AFP and the PNP, most of these are political in nature, also with criminal lawless elements, and at the same time, land related. And that is why in the normalization track that we have, there are actually four aspects to it: the decommissioning, the socio-econ, transitional justice, and confidence building amnesty. This is a whole of governance approach, and that's why we're also thankful for the BTA and the Parliament, the BARM government. We're all working hard together. So for the decommissioning, we just have to, there's just a pause in the panels because they haven't released the names of the last phase for the decommissioning, but we've already decommissioned 26,000 former combatants, and the provision of their socio-econ and for their reintegration is ongoing right now. So we have that for the normalization. So all of these things, especially also with the security aspect of it, in the whole GPH MILF peace infrastructure, we also have peace mechanisms on the ground. CCH, the ceasefire committee on the ground, the AJAG for the coordination of MILF and the AFP with the GPH. So we have that on the ground, sir. So right now, what was mentioned, most of it is land related, but there are ongoing, we have ongoing initiatives right now, especially with the DAR, in terms of doing the parceliary inventory, because most of the violence really are land related, and so the RIDO as well. And we believe that, given this, we can actually eliminate or minimize the violence and address the land issues because of the overlapping claims. So there are these instances that just don't see the light of day, and that's why we've been very passionate about, making this, making it in a way, letting the rest of the Philippines see this progress, because usually what people see on social media are just the negative things, and mostly they're blown out of proportion or taken out of context. But there are good things and ongoing initiatives that are going on right now, especially with the normalization. So it's hand in hand. It's not just the elections, but it goes hand in hand with the normalization as well. And we're very thankful with the BTA, with the MILF, MNLF, and the GPH side that they've been very helpful as well in doing all this, because it really requires a whole of governance approach, sir. So if you want more information on the whole, where we are right now in terms of the peace process, because like what you said, Your Honor, we are the beacon in the international, we are a beacon in the international community in terms of one of the longest or subsisting peace agreement. Most of the peace agreements all over the world have broken down or they're facing issues, but ours remain strong. And inshallah, it goes on and it becomes more successful. So that's why it's also a very important priority for the national government to have the elections conducted and also continue with the deliverables of the national government under the peace agreement. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Attorney, for your inputs. I would like to recognize Attorney Ali of the BTA. Attorney.
Yes, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Before you do that, Your Honors, I will be remiss in my duty to recognize our distinguished colleague, very, I'd say, important, who played a very important role in the passage of the BOL, who is also chairman of the Committee of National Defense. She's also chairman of the Bangsamoro and Government Parliamentary Forum in Congress, in the Senate. She's representing us in the Senate, no other than our distinguished colleague, Senator Lauren Legarda. Thank you for coming, Madam.
Thank you very much. I apologize for the delay. There were other meetings, but I'm grateful that you held this so that the certainty, yes. I actually have a few statements, but I'll listen to them first.
You can just listen to
Yes.
Attorney Ali that I recognize.
Yes, after I have a statement to make, yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam. Thank you for giving way to Attorney Ali. I think he's going to discuss just on that particular issue that we have on the pursuit of the peace program that we had passing this BOL. Please, Attorney.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri and Senator Lauren Legarda for this committee meeting. And this is a historical committee meeting because it will tackle the first BARM parliamentary election. Yan ang pinaka-inihintay na po ng ating mga kababayan. With respect to the issues, Mr. Chair, there are mechanisms for the both the GPH and the MILEP to tackle issues related to the proliferations of firearms. No? Dalawa kasi yung kinds of firearms. May long firearms at saka mayroong small arm and light weapons. So meron na po yung mga committees mechanism to discuss that issues at on the way na po. Pero ang reality po ngayon, Senator, ay sinuspende po ng MILF leadership ang decommissioning process kasi ayun po, tulad po ng observation nyo, nakapokus na lang tayo ngayon sa politika. Hindi pa na-deliver yung mga deliverables na sa socio-economic package. Ang nagdesisyon ng ating leadership sa chairman sa pangunguna ng chairman Haj Murad Ibrahim na i-suspend muna yung decommissioning process until such time na makita natin na mag-move yung other deliverables ng peace process. Hindi lang po tayo nakapokus dito sa political track. No? Meron din tayong normalization track na kailangan din mag-move, no? Para maibigay natin doon sa mga combatants ang nararapat sa kanila. At magandang balita po narinig natin kanina na tumaas po ang budget ng OPAPRO at sana ay makapokus na dito sa normalization track nito. Pero as of this time, Mr. Chair, I suspended muna ang decommissioning until such time na makita natin na mag-move. Hindi lang po ito about sa election, this is about the peace agreement. Mr. Chair, I would like to get the opportunity, Mr. Chair, to read the position of the MILF UBJP with respect to this issue, Mr. Chair. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The United Bangsamoro Justice Party conveys its sincere appreciation to the honorable members of this committee, especially to our very chairman, Senator Mig Zubiri, father of the Bangsamoro Organic Law, for giving us opportunity to share this position paper on Senate Bill number 1587. We also wish to convey the greetings of salam from our party president Al-Haj Murad Ibrahim, chairman and Amirul Mujahideen of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. At the outset, we wish to emphasize that the UBJP supports the call for over 2.3 million registered voters in the BARM for the immediate conduct of the first parliamentary election. As repeatedly pronounced by our leaders, we are very much willing to submit to the will of the Bangsamoro people in a free, orderly, honest, and peaceful election. Win or loss, we are committed to submit to democratic exercise that will give our people the fullest opportunity and freedom to choose their own leaders. This is MILF's solemn obligation under the comprehensive agreement of the Bangsamoro. As we all know, this first ever Bangsamoro parliamentary election is on its fourth postponement as of date. The first schedule is on May 20, 2022, was postponed to May 12, 2025. The second postponement was from May 12, 2025 to October 13, 2025, while the third postponement was October 13, 2025 to March 30, 2026. No less than the Supreme Court of the Philippines in the case of Lanang Ali Jr. et al. Versus Bangsamoro Transition BTA, yours truly, specially ordered the BTA and the COMELEC to immediate undertake by October 30, 2025 at the latest the accomplishment of the determination of parliamentary district for the first regular election for the members of parliament in strict compliance with priorities requirements provided in BOL and BOL as well as the criteria laid down in this decision. Thereafter, in the compliance with Section 5 of the Voters Registration Act, the respondents COMELEC is directed to promptly proceed with its preparation and conduct of elections not later than March 31, 2026. It must be stated for the record that the BTA failed to enact a new redistricting law within the deadline set by the Supreme Court. It took BTA 72 days beyond the deadline to finally enact the new redistricting law on January 12, 2026. This inexcusable delay caused the deferment of the March 30, 2026 election set by the COMELEC. The question that comes to mind, especially for the COMELEC in this honorable committee, is this: are we at liberty to ignore the Supreme Court timeline? Can we legally supplant or set aside the Supreme Court decision which specifically ordered the COMELEC to conduct elections not later than March 31, 2026 by enacting a new date for the election beyond such period? What further exacerbates the already dire situation is that the BTA Parliament hurriedly passed on January 28, 2026, a law, this is the latest law, January 28, 2026, a law amending the Bangsamoro Electoral Code, which practically reboot the entire parliamentary election preparations made by the COMELEC in the last 3 years. The new law amended, among others, the following provisions of the Bangsamoro Electoral Code: the reduction of the minimum number of membership from 10,000 to 5,000, lowering of the threshold from 4% to 2.5%, revocation of already issued certification and issuance of new certification for sectoral representatives, directly affecting hundreds of certified sectoral organizations, revoking the accreditation of regional political parties already granted by the COMELEC by requiring all existing political parties and coalition of political parties to seek new accreditations and barring those who will not apply from participating in the election, requiring the COMELEC to promulgate the IRR within 30 days from the effectivity of the law, and changing the manner of election of sector representative from women, youth, ulama, traditional leader, and sectoral communities from sectoral assemblies to plurality of ballot votes cast for the respective sector. Introducing all these belated amendments and requiring the COMELEC to promulgate a new implementing rules and regulations are red flags, presumably designed to cause another delay in laying the ground for another postponement of elusive election long awaited by the Bangsamoro people. The ultimate casualty in this early politicking is the erosion of political and electoral reforms introduced by the MILF during the transition period. The series of postponement also eroded the trust and confidence of voters on the electoral system. People, especially candidates, are tired and fed up on the electoral, going through the whole process of registrations, certifications, accreditations, filing of candidacy, voters education, training teachers and company, and campaigning only to be postponed again, wasting time, resources, and energy. Toward this end, the UBJP recommends the following: to uphold, respect, and sustain the legal status of accredited regional political parties and sectoral organizations already approved and granted by the COMELEC. The manner of election of sectoral representatives should proceed in accordance with the Bangsamoro Electoral Code and the COMELEC. Implementing rules and regulation which is through sectoral assemblies to avoid disenfranchisement of marginalized sectors. The belated amendment hurriedly passed by the BT Parliament should not be allowed to trigger another delay or postponement in the parliamentary election. Finally, we also remind everyone that the first Bangsamoro parliamentary election is not an ordinary election. This is parcel of the commitments of the national government and the MILF for the peace process. The international community is monitoring the overall implementation of the peace agreement. Let us not allow realpolitik to undertake the strategic goals of the peace process. We thank you for the opportunity to be able to share UBJP's position, and may we all commit to a new and final date that we will be able to finally deliver and fully implement as scheduled. That will be all, Mr. Chair. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Shukran, my dear friend. But yun, so we answered some of the questions raised earlier by the letter. I actually reached out to Vice Chair Iqbal, Minister Iqbal.
Yes.
And asked him if he could, well, I sent a message if I could call him, so that I wanted to invite him to be here with us. But I'm glad that you're here
Yes.
to represent the group.
Yes, Mr. Chair, if we are allowed to give some views on the particular issue. As affirmed by the COMELEC chairman here, the process of registration, accreditation is a long process. No? It eats more time, like 3 to 4 months. No? Even more for, yung iba nga, Mr. Chair, umabot pa ng years. No? So, kung back to zero natin lahat, yung registration ng lahat ng sectoral organizations and political parties, ang agam-agam po ng UBJP and other political parties ay hindi po kukulangin po tayo ng oras doon sa process na yun. So yun po ang aming nais po na ilagay po dito sa committee na ito, Mr. Chair, ay yung
So ang
ganito.
position din ng MILF and your party is that the sooner the better on the elections?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Earlier.
But yung sana hindi yung revocation ng mga membership ng sectoral at saka yung political parties by the COMELEC, because as far as the legal requirements, no, I don't know, si Mr. kay Chairman ng COMELEC, ang registration, ang revocation and registration ng political parties, it's with a cost. And it's the COMELEC to decide kung yung ba ay na-violate yung cost na provided by law. No? Pwede ba yun by law ay talagang...
Maybe we can recognize Chairman
Yes.
Garcia to answer the query of the good
Yes.
attorney.
Actually, Mr. Chair, yung query po kasi ay addressed really to the Parliament, because it's the Parliament that enacted the law which set aside all accreditations and opening up the accreditation, meaning back to zero. The COMELEC will just follow what the Parliament had said. So we will open the accreditation. We will set aside the accreditation of duly accredited political parties already. We are going to be back to zero.
Did the law that they passed say that they'll back to zero? That every
Yes,
really,
yes, Mr. Chair. It was passed last week. It's the Parliament actually.
Okay,
Mr. Chair.
may we recognize Attorney Mary Ann Arnado.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Allow me to present the position paper of the settler communities because we are directly affected with the revocation of the sectoral accreditation. The settler community sector, predominantly Christians, is a marginalized minority in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region. This is the reason why the framers of the Bangsamoro Organic Law made sure that the settler communities will have a voice and equitable representation in the Bangsamoro Parliament with concomitant rights to freely choose their own representatives. We used to be at the sidelines, silent and subservient to the affairs of the regional government. We dared not speak nor participate out of fear and indifference. We used to believe that our participation would not change anything, so that silence became our refuge and our way to survive and thrive. But all this have radically changed after the ratification of the Bangsamoro Organic Law and the establishment of the BARM. For the first time in the history of the Bangsamoro, settler communities are afforded reserved seats in the Bangsamoro Parliament. Our voices and participation in governance and access to various programs have dramatically improved within an inclusive BARM. In 2024, we started to convene and organize ourselves to be able to participate in choosing our sectoral representatives. Now we are gaining strength. We are no longer alone and left to ourselves. We are now moving united with various settler communities from as far as Basilan, Tawi-Tawi, and mainland Maguindanao, Lanao, SGA, and Cotabato. We also stand in solidarity with other marginalized sectors like women, youth, ulama, traditional leaders, and non-Moro indigenous peoples in the truest essence of dialogue of life and faith. After we diligently followed all required processes and submitted the necessary documents, the Office for Settler Communities certified around 268 settler communities organizations who have successfully established verifiable track record in serving the needs and promoting the welfare of settlers. After securing our certification in the months leading to the May 2025 election, we decided to submit all necessary documents and undergo the rigorous and time-sensitive accreditation processes with the COMELEC. The process was tedious, the fees prohibitive, and the legal requisites to qualify for accreditation too technical for grassroots organizations who have little access to legal services. Yet we persisted and followed the process, emboldened by the faith that this time it is different. Government and in the MILF are in transition and mutually implementing genuine electoral and political reforms. We will have a fair chance. This is worth fighting for. Last January 28, 2026, we were shocked, dismayed, and disgusted that the BTA Parliament amended the Bangsamoro Electoral Code, which arbitrarily revoked the certification of all sectoral organizations, including the settler communities. By sheer legislative action and without any consultation, the BTA took the hopes of thousands of Christian settlers in the BARM. The BTA literally canceled our much-cherished certification and is requiring us to start anew. Making matters worse, the BTA Parliament changed the manner of election for the sectors from sectoral assemblies to direct plurality of valid votes cast for the respective sector. Under the BEC, the shift to popular automated election for sectoral representative is contingent upon the prior establishment of a special registration of sectoral voters pursuant to Section 2, Article 10 of the BEC, because it's very difficult to determine who will be voting for the sector. So right now, the special registration, the Parliament changed the manner of election to direct plurality of votes. And that will practically take away the reserved seats for the marginalized sectors and leave us all at the mercy of the majority who can now dictate who will be representing the settlers in the Parliament. It is in effect foreclosing the parliamentary seats reserved for settlers under the organic law. It is called reserved precisely because there is no way Christians will be able to compete with the majority in a popular election. We are no strangers to the election in the Philippines, especially in the BARM. Instead of the promised electoral reform, this will slide back to the usual ways. Therefore, we are elevating our appeal to the Senate to help us secure what is rightfully reserved for the marginalized sector. Give to the women what is due for the women, give to the youth what is reserved for them, and give to the Christian settler what is due to us. We also appeal to President Bongbong Marcos to please protect us settler communities and marginalized sectors in the BARM. We pray that the marginalized sectors, including the Christian settlers, will be unified, strengthened, and empowered, and meaningfully take part in making the BARM an inclusive, just, peaceful, and prosperous homeland for diverse peoples and cultures. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. This is the first time I've actually encountered BAA 88. So, and today is the only day that I found out that actually your legislation from the Bangsamoro Transition Authority is all about. What the crafters of the BOL and Attorney Nagib was with me there because he was my aide when we were crafting this. The idea really was to give these seats to particular sectors. And you're absolutely correct na ayaw natin mabastardize yan. Like the party list system now that we're trying very hard to amend with the recommendations also of the chairperson of the COMELEC and all the members of the COMELEC. Because under the law, under the Constitution, when Justice Ascuna passed the Constitution, they basically mentioned that these are marginalized sectors of society. Ngayon, bilyonaryo yung mga members ng party list system. Sila pala marginalized. Bilyonaryo na hindi pa mahanap yung iba. So ang punto namin dyan is, ano nangyari along the way? And I guess that's what they're also complaining when we wrote this BOL, that we wanted to make it true to representation, to what is really truly representation that we itemized and sectors that we made sure that we be represented by the Parliament. So I'm saddened by that fact, if that is the case. Our concept, our idea for equal representation with the indigenous people, settler communities, etc., is now watered down. No? I have to study this BA. But we respect, I have to put this on record, and my good colleague, Senator Legarda agrees with me, we also respect the autonomous nature of their parliament. You have the right to debate, you have the right to fight it out in parliament and eventually put that on a vote. Whether we like it or not, that is the process. Although, of course, I would be heartbroken to see that it will now become similar to what is the party list system now, which is no longer marginalized. You know, when I was in my first term in Congress, I used to have Kakispin Beltran. There, yung mga party list na talagang mahihirap, yung labor sector na laborer talaga na representing their sector. All of a sudden, after several years and several, I guess, interpretation of the party list law, puro bilyonaryo na, may mga helicopter pa yung mga party list members. So sabi ko, ano na nangyayari doon? Iba't iba na yung iba't iba ng representation, hindi nang marginalized. So, and that's what we're trying to correct now. And the Senate President is pushing for the amendments to the party list law. But again, as I said, we respect though the Parliament to be able to enact their laws. Before I recognize Attorney Nagib, I promised our good colleague at the time. So Senator Legarda, you recognize, Madam.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I welcome all of you to the Senate once again, and this is of great importance and interest to us, of course. Before I tell you of what we have done, not just in terms of legislation, but in terms of budgetary amendments for this year, allow me to just clarify the very important position that Attorney Arnado had mentioned. May I know the position of the BTA regarding the concern that there should be no new process of accreditation of political parties as well as sectoral organizations as provided for, in my understanding, this new legislation. Is it BAA 88? Is that correct? We want to understand the wisdom behind this, the impact to the settler communities and the marginalized communities? And may we know, does this have any implication regarding the elections and perhaps the COMELEC's view on this? Because I must admit, this is new to me. I understand it was just enacted by the BTA last week. Number one, may connection ba ho ito at anong implikasyon sa ating magiging halalan? Pangalawa, what was the wisdom behind it? Does it mean that we are going back to zero as the implication seems? And will it really lose access? Will marginalized sectors lose access to having a voice in Parliament? So anyone from the BTA may answer. We hear you loud and clear. We want to find a solution here that will bring the long dreamed of just and lasting peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Senator. Ganito po, para ho mas naintindihan ng mga kasama natin, because this was already debated in the Parliament and a vote has been taken.
I understand it is already
yes.
enacted into law.
Yes.
Ang tanong ko po ay, don't get me wrong,
Opo.
hindi po kami naghihimasok.
Opo.
We respect your independent, your autonomy, and we just want to understand the wisdom because it was brought to our attention.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes po. Una ho ay kailangan nating baguhin yung system of election as provided in the original electoral code. Kasi po, hindi yun ang nasa Constitution at nasa organic law. Ang sinasabi ho ng Constitution natin in Article 10, yung representation in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Assembly ay by election. Unfortunately, nung ginawa yung electoral code, it is not by election. It is by assemblies nung mga organizations. So, pag in-stretch ho natin masyado yung interpretation na yon, and there are pending petitions now before the Supreme Court questioning the constitutionality of that provision. So, bumalik ho tayo doon. Pangalawa ho, yung organic law mismo nagpo-provide na election yan, yung sectors. Ang exception lang ay yung non-Moro indigenous people. So, naging consistent tayo doon sa mandato ng organic law na yun lang ay exempt natin. Pangalawa ho ay wala hong deprivation doon sa representation by the concerned sector. Hindi ho pupunta dyan ang hindi kabahagi ng sektor na yun. Halimbawa ho, kami, we will not intrude into the sector of the non-Moro indigenous or the settlers. Sila rin po lang ang pwedeng iboto under BAA 88. Wala hong ibang pwedeng pumasok doon na sector na hindi kabahagi ng sector na yun. Ang check ho doon ay dalawa. Una, they need to belong to a sectoral organization. Second, that sectoral organization will be accredited by the appropriate office or ministry. So if you are non-Moro indigenous people, the MIPA will have to accredit you. Sila ho yung may hawak ng ministry na yun. So they'll know kung yung organization mo na nandun ka, ikaw yung ay kabahagi ka ng sector. So nandun pa rin yung check. Ang binago lang ho natin ay yung manner of election, ma'am. Kasi po, una, hindi ho tumpak doon sa Constitution. Ang pangalawa ho ay wala sa BOL. Pangatlo ho, ma'am, ay tedious yung process na ina-outline. Kasi dalawa naman ho talaga yung check doon sa legitimacy ng sector. Una ho ay yung pool of candidates na panggagalingan nun. Kailangan kung sector ka lang. Pangalawa ho ay yung manner of electing it. I mean, sino ang pwedeng bumoto sa kanila? Yung pong sector na bahagi, wala ho tayong binago doon. Binago lang ho natin yung manner of election. At ang ginaya ho natin ay yung proposal ninyo, ma'am, na ang election na ay at large. Pero walang ibang mapipili na hindi ka bahagi ng sector na yun. Pero magbo-vote na lahat. Kasi ho, yung unang in-outline na process, kinontrol natin yung sectoral selection at yung manner of voting. At masyadong complicated yung manner of voting. Ang kakailanganin ni COMELEC, if we do that, hindi tayo magkaka-election this year. Kasi i-require natin si Commission on Elections na mag-register. In the registration ng mga botante, mamimili siya ng tatlong sector. Sasabihin niya, itong sector 1, 2, 3 ang sector na bobotuhan ko. Now, pag nagawa mo na yon, you have that system, ita-translate mo pa yan doon sa precinct level mismo. Yung electoral board naman ang tuturuan mo na makikilala niya yung botanting yon at malalaman niya na ang pinili niyang sector ay yung tatlo. Kasi ibibigay mo sa kanya yung balota. If we do that manner of election, hindi ho tayo magkaka-election, ma'am. Kaya ho talagang ang ginawa natin, we simplified it. We've seen your proposal, yun ho ang ginaya namin. Para meron kang integrity dun sa sector na yun. Pero yung manner of
I
election mo
don't
ay...
understand when you say, sir, my proposal. What do you mean?
Yung proposal ho ninyo na nabasa namin doon sa, kung paano yung sectoral representation sa, yun ho ang manner ng pagpili.
You referring to the Bangsamoro Parliament Forum? The discussions when you say my proposal? Was it a personal proposal?
Nasa Senate Bill 342 po yun.
A bill I filed 13 years ago.
Yes.
Good research.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We researched that.
Okay.
Tama po, kasi we were in a
Ako palang
quandary pa.
author
Ano?
niyan.
Opo.
Okay. So I filed the bill in 2013. That was my second term. And you adopted
Yes.
a bill I filed. Talagang ahead of my time, di ba?
Yes.
Tinatanong kita ngayon sa wisdom ng BAA 88.
Opo.
Bill ko pala ng 2013 ang ginawa niyong basihan.
Opo, kasi
Sinabi mo yan para wag na ako magtanong kung ano yung
hindi po,
wisdom
pero
nun.
in reality, matagal na debate na yun, ma'am. Paano yung
No,
operationalize?
the fact that I filed it in my second term 13 years ago and you used that as the basis for your legislation in the BTA, I must have studied it thoroughly then, but why only now? And my question is, did you consult the settler communities, the non-Moro indigenous peoples, etc., in all of that? You went through the process and sought their and consulted them.
Yes, ma'am. Opo, nag-public consultation ho. In fact ho, yung representative nung settler community in the BTA Parliament voted yes in favor of this one. Ganon din ho yung mga political parties na kasama namin. Hindi naman po lahat, pero yung pong mga kasama natin, nag-consultation din ho. At yung representative ho nila mismo sa BTA.
We take note of that. And thank you for acknowledging the authorship of the bill. Pwede palang ganon, magpa-file sa national, i-adapt. Kasi ang ginagawa ko po, para alam ng lahat, from before, I would always share my legislation, my bills, my resolutions, not just sa Senate, sa Congress, syempre, kasi bicameral, but also sa Bangsamoro. Yeah, I've always tried to share my wisdom, whatever. Ako pala ang author nung BAA 88 na tinatanong natin. 2013.
Galit mo na yung MILF.
Hindi sila galit sa akin. Hindi. No, ibig sabihin, they based it on a 2013 bill. Way back in 2013. So I'm trying to understand it. So my question to the COMELEC, does this have any bearing on the conduct of the elections? Will it make it more difficult? Or is it more convenient? Chair George Garcia, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, Your Honor. Yung una po muna yung tanong na how will this affect the election? This will affect the date of the conduct of the election. Definitely, Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, Your Honor, dapat kakayanin namin ang May 2026 Bangsamoro Parliamentary election. If we are going to implement solely the districting, BAA number 86. But because of the enactment of BAA number 88, of which we are going to set aside all accredited political parties, all accredited sectoral organizations, and we will accept once again the filing of petitions for accreditations of several thousands of filers, it will take us at least 3 to 4 months, or even 4 months or more, to come up with a list of accredited political parties and sectoral organizations. Kasi po, Mr. Chair, yung pong mga names ng political parties, including the logo, and the names of the sectoral organizations, which in this case, under BAA 88, tao na po ang i-elect ng mga mamamayan, hindi po names ng sectoral organizations will have to be printed in the ballots. Now, will this expedite or will this make easier the job of COMELEC? Wala pa po kaming kopya, narinig lang po namin, but I think yes. The reason why, Mr. Chair, is because, ganito po, kung hindi nagbago o hindi nila binago yung manner of election, by 2028, a single voter in the Bangsamoro will have 4 ballots. 3 ballots, 1 ballot each per sector, and 1 ballot for the national and local elections. In fact, we are required under the election code before nilang binago na mag-conduct ng re-registration of voters so that we will ask each and every voter in the 2.3 million voting population of the Bangsamoro, ano yung mga sectors ang gusto nyo? Wala pa po kaming nagagawa na gano'n. Wala po tayong classification ng kung anong sektor kabilang ang isang botante.
Just to intercede. Pero as one of the, as the author and sponsor of the Bangsamoro Organic Law, we wanted to make it exact nga eh. Women, youth, settlers, IP. Alam niyo yung nangyari rin sa party list system, bahala na sila. They claim to be women but they don't really represent the women's interest. It's political interest and so on and so forth. We actually patterned it under the European system. It was a European party list na walang face. It was just the idea of the party list, of the representation. That was the idea sana, Chairman. That's why, kung babalik tayo sa kanila, kung gagawin natin party list natin, Diyos ko Lord, God help BARM. Diba? So yun lang, Madam Chair, Madam Senator, is my worry lang is, baka nga, ma-water down. So kung magiging party list lang yun, dapat yan, may representation talaga. It should be women, 1 box for women, 1 box for youth. Naka-enumerate yan eh. Under the BOL.
Meron po, meron po lahat. Properly represented ang lahat ng sectors. Ang manner of election lang, Mr. Chair.
I don't think we'll have a problem because we already established earlier that we will not be synchronized. And therefore, it's just going to be a special election every 3 years. So definitely, hindi na kailangan 4 ballots yun. Pwede nang isang ballot lang for the BARM elections, correct?
Kung hindi po nila binago yung BAA 8, kung hindi po nila pinasa yung BAA 88, at yung susundin natin, yung original election code, yun po, we will be giving 4 ballots per voter.
Okay.
Sinasabi niyo po, Mr. Chair, na tama po yung pagpasa. Ito para maliwanag kasi yung sinasabi naman ni Chair at yung gusto natin na representante ang mga sektor nandyan. Babasahin ko, 2013, nag-file po ako ng panukalang batas. At the time, SB 342, okay, July 2013. This bill seeks to provide the enabling law for the implementation of the provision on local sectoral representation provided under Republic Act 7160, otherwise known as the Local Government Code of 1991. The Constitution encourages non-governmental, community-based, or sectoral organizations that promote the welfare of the nation. It also respects the role of independent people's organizations to enable the people to pursue and protect within the democratic framework their legitimate and collective interests and aspirations through peaceful and lawful means. Consistent with these state policies, Article 10, Section 9 provides that the legislative bodies of local governments shall have sectoral representation as may be prescribed by law, which essentially provides a venue for community-based organizations to participate in formal local governance processes. Local sectoral representation is an important step towards advancing the decentralization in the Philippine governmental system. Decentralization, among others, seeks to bring government closer to the people, making it more responsive to local needs, harness the participation of grassroots communities in public policy making. Participation of local sectoral groups in the local legislative bodies will help ensure that the interests of marginalized sectors are articulated, and this will allow them to contribute in making decisions that directly affect their social, political, and economic concerns. Section 41, Paragraph C of RA 7160 sought to pursue the constitutional provisions on local sectoral representation. However, 15 years since the enactment of 7160, remember I wrote this in 2013, at that time 15 years, this important provision remains unimplemented as of 2013 because it requires an enabling law for the same to be implemented, and this bill addresses that need for an enabling law to allow broader representation and participation of community-based and people's organizations in local governance. In view of the foregoing, the immediate passage of this bill is sought, and this is the bill I filed not only for Bangsamoro but for all local governments because an enabling law was needed from the 1991 local government code, and Congress was remiss in enacting it. That's why even as a very young senator then, I saw the need for an enabling law, and therefore this bill was filed way back 13 years ago. Huh? Yeah. Okay. So when I was a younger senator, and just so that the body knows, up to this time, hindi pa po nababatas na isa sa batas. Napakahalaga. Did I refile it? I will refile it because this will give a voice, as the chair says, to the women, to the indigenous people, to the vulnerable populations. Ito ang kailangan talaga. Grassroots communities to have representation. So I am heartened to know that this was used as a basis for empowering community-based communities, both Moro and non-Moro, Muslim and non-Muslim. Hopefully, I did not see BAA 88. Hopefully, the intent of your BAA 88, for which this bill is your inspiration, as you say, I hope it did not divert from the intent of this law, which is much needed because it is an enabling law as mandated by the Constitution. So having said that, I am heartened that a 13-year-old bill, which the national government has not yet, Congress and national, have not yet prioritized, and I'm now emboldened to refile it and to push for it. And second, I hear loud and clear what the chair said, that if we did not pass it through the Bangsamoro Parliament, the elections cannot be held this year. Ibig nyo sabihin, at saka baka apat ang masalimuot yung proseso, ganun ba yun?
Yes po, Madam Chair. Kung natuloy po yung halalan ngayon na hindi po na-reset o hindi po na-postpone, there will be no direct election of the sectoral organizations. Assembly lang po.
So nakabuti po. So, ibig sabihin po, itong inspirasyon na sinabi niyong basihan ng BAA 88, hindi po na etsepuera ang mga marginalized at vulnerable populations at communities. Sa halip, ito po ay magbibigay daan para po magkaboses at representasyon ng ating mga kababaihan at mga katutubo at ang mga non-Muslim groups. Ganun ba ho ang inyong perception, Chair?
Yes po, Madam Chair. In fact, if I may, Madam Chair, we received several years na po, ang daming mga local officials, local chief executive, ang naghihingi sa COMELEC ng implementing rules and regulation on the provision of 7160. Ang sabi po namin, kailangan po ng isang legislation. And that's
so
the
ito na po,
legislation.
ito na nga. Buti na hungkat natin, is that the right Filipino word? I'm glad that we're able to unearth my 13-year-old bill, which is languishing in the Senate archives. I will refile it on Monday. I may even stand on the floor to deliver a privileged speech and encourage the local government committee to hear it. Today, I can file it today. Yes, but we have to update it. We have to update it. Yes, this is not, hindi naman to unahan. In fact, kung gusto mo i-co-author ito, kasi napakahaba na ng pending ito. So, thank you. We are enlightened by the wisdom of the chair, chair of the COMELEC, who tells us it is essential that it is also being asked by other local government.
Political parties will have to seek accreditation anew. The COMELEC sa hands will be
We're
tied
back.
because that's the
Sorry,
law,
nawala.
Mr. Chair. It cannot be corrected even by an IRR.
I agree, Your Honor. Pero ang punto ko lang is, madali lang naman magre-register eh. Register, pero baka we can give accordance that they're already registered with you, you already accredited them. Maybe yung 100, ilan ba sila? 180?
184.
184 organizations may be given the fast lane. Ika nga, para hindi na sila, yan ang appeal na natin sa inyo para wala na masyadong gulo sa kanila. I think that will settle some of their problems. I would feel, no? Baka pwedeng gawin yun.
Definitely we will be doing that. In fact, the problem really is what are we going to do with those which we already accredited? Ibig sabihin po ba, mali tayo nung inaccredit natin and then we're not going to accredit them. So
Yes.
really, they have this advantage already when it comes to accreditation as compared to those who will be seeking accreditation for the first time.
We can utilize the documentation that we already submitted to you guys. Kasi, ika nga, parang ease of doing business yan eh. When you submit the document to one agency, you have to submit the same documents to the other agency. It's already considered as accepted because it's the same documentation anyways, Your Honor, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Chair, that will be included in the IRR. We intend to include that in the IRR.
Then I just have one fundamental question before I recognize Attorney Nagib, MP Nagib. What is how are you going to operationalize this? I think that's very important. Is how they will operationalize BAA 88. Because for example, it says here 2 seats for the non-Moro IPs and settler communities. 2 seats. Women. Youth, traditional leaders, and ulama will have 1 seat each. Okay, so how will you operationalize that now? Because how will they do it in their ballot? Because I'm just trying to visualize the ballot. So the ballot will be, on the front page will be those directly elected, I think, by their
Parliamentary district,
36
Mr. Chair.
districts ba yun? 32 districts. So directly, may mga 32 districts dyan. So ilalagay nila yan. I don't know how you do it. You can, because you're doing it automated. So it's only one day or one district seat, those who applied. So
One district seat
Yes.
pertain to the district and then all the candidates for that
That applied.
particular district.
yes, so that's one at the top of the ballot. Below, that will be the 40. Yan ba yung political parties?
Only the political parties po. So kung 10 o 20 kunwari, Mr. Chair, ang accredited namin, 20 lahat na political parties. Yung names ng mga nominees will not be included in the
Yes.
ballots.
How will they vote? Kasi you need 40 seats for that. So how will you allocate that? By the most number? How will you do it, Chairman? Paano?
Yun na po, Mr. Chair, yung binabanggit kanina po na threshold of 4% na nireduce ng Bangsamoro ngayon from 4% to 2.5%, meaning 4% or 2.5% ngayon of the valid votes cast for the political party. So for example, Mr. Chair, ang bumoto sa political party ay 100,000. So you get the 2.5% upon 100,000. Kunyari lang po, Mr. Chair, isa lang ang nanalo. Isa lang ang nakakuha ng 2.5% sa lahat ng 20 na political party. So yung political party na yung kanya lahat yung 40 seats.
40 seats.
Kung dalawa silang nakakuha ng 2.5, hati sila tig 20. Kung tatlo sila, divided by 3 ang 20.
So you're saying kung may mga 5 na nakakuha ng 2.5%, hati-hati sila sa 40 seats. But what happens about, don't you do a ratio as well? For
Yes po,
example,
Mr. Chair.
For example, kung 1 milyon ang natanggap ng isang political party, like the party of MP Lanang, Ali, 1 milyon silang bumoto dun. Don't they get a bigger share of the 40 seats?
Yes po, Mr. Chair. Proportional representation po yon. So basta dapat, Mr. Chair, ang basehan lagi is the number of votes cast, valid votes cast for the party list. That's why po, Mr. Chair, na-complicate lang nung una dahil meron pong presence nung none of the above. Yung po yung niresolve. Tinanggal na rin po yan. tinanggal na nila yon. So, dun po ang pag-compute nila dyan. So, meaning to say, indeed, parehas, apat tayo nakakuha ng 2.5%, pero yung isa nakakuha ng 5, mas malaki po yung mabibigay na
So proportional representation.
Yes po.
That's very clear. Very good. Page 2, second page. Dito na yan sa ating mga seats reserved for sectoral representatives. Paano naman natin makokondak yan na yun? How, para we have an idea, more or less, since they passed already BA 88 and the COMELEC is here, how now will we choose the 2 seats for the Moro indigenous, non-Moro IPs, the settlers, women, youth, traditional leaders? Will there be a box for women, box for youth, box for settler communities, and box for IPs? Ganun ba yan?
Mr. Chair,
Magkakaroon ba sila ng ano?
wala pa pong idea si COMELEC sapagkat hindi pa po effective yung law as of today. Because under their the law that they pass, it will become effective 15 days after publication. As of today, we have no knowledge that it was published already. So,
Maybe I'll ask them. I'll ask the BTA. How do you conceptualize or operationalize this section 15? Reserve seats for sectoral representatives. Paano natin ma-elect sila, Attorney Nagib? Kasi sa party list system na yon, it's only one. Our elections, tayo, when we vote, you only choose one. We cannot choose one for women. We cannot choose one for urban poor. We cannot. Only one. But under the BOL, we put one
Kursin ko lang yung bansang ka. Oh, hold on. Ayun. Mas yan, ang free ko na. I think. Hindi siya kung something. Baka hindi makahanap ng amin, hindi tayo Hong Kong. Kaya nga, akala ko meron. Pagamit na sa iya. Kasi may balayra naman sa law.
Mr. Chair, for purposes of not being remiss of my mission to represent the Parliament Speaker, I would just like to read a portion of the position paper submitted by PTA Parliament Speaker Honorable Muhammad Yaqub.
Interesting yung ano nila. Hanggang sa mga dumahan. Marami ka na. Kinis. Dumahan. Salamat sa pagsulit.
Hindi na siya makakatuto. So that's the idea dun sa original electoral code. But then, Mr. Chair, just to also say na the COMELEC has in fact already issued the IRR for the original Bangsamoro Electoral Code. Yung una po. But of course, this is water under the bridge. Meron pong napasa. Gusto ko lang i-register na yung Parliament, nung pinasa ito ay nag-engage po
Always the design directive of Secretary Juanito John Dixie Rebolles and also Jim. Thank you very much. Pera, siyempre, sa picture, kailangan natin ng pera. TBM, may pera ba? May pera bang komunikasyon? Now, if they need more funds, meron po silang accumulated available allotment from prior year's budget in the amount of 30.9 billion as of December 31, 2025. Thank you. Let me confirm with the Chairman, medyo may mali lang po ito sa statement. Ganito po, Mr. Chair. The budget for the Bangsamoro Parliamentary is 2.5 billion. And based doon sa usapan with the former Secretary of DBM, kinuha po namin yun sa existing budget ng Congress. And so we were able to produce the 2.5 billion. Now, Mr. Chair, nakagastos na po kami in preparation for the October 13, supposedly, Bangsamoro Parliamentary election na 1.2 billion pesos. 500 million para sa printing ng balota, and then yung pag-list ng mga machines, transmission devices, etc. etc. So, since po hindi natuloy yun, wala po yung buong 1.2 billion pesos. We were so happy and we I'm so grateful to Congress because through the efforts of Congress, more specifically Senator William Samyan, and Senator and Congressman Swansea, Congresswoman Swansea, nabalik po sa 2026 budget yung buong 1.2 billion. So, intact, available, at nandyan po yung buong budget that the COMELEC can utilize for purposes of a receptive Bangsamoro Parliamentary Electoral. At naka-continuing appropriation po yung kalahati noon. At yung kalahati naman ay nasa 2026 budget.
Thank you. That's very good news. Let's continue. Who's next in line? Is that Attorney Rona of Lente, Representative of Lente? Then we will recognize everyone as.
Prepared statement, Chair.
Yes, please proceed.
We support the measure to conduct the bar parliamentary elections on this year, on September. We strongly reiterate our position that the bar regional elections should have been conducted as early as May 2022. Just like what Chairperson George Garcia said earlier, every lawyer will have a different reading of law and jurisprudence. This is the case in our reading of the Abbas Ida case. As to synchronization is a constitutional mandate and not really a matter of legislation. Although we understand and recognize the purpose of the synchronization, as we have noted in the House of Suffrage Committee hearing last February 3, it is our opinion that the bill seeking to set the date of the bar parliamentary elections must comply with this constitutional mandate. The next BPE should therefore be synchronized with the 2028 national and local elections, which will be held on the second Monday of May. On the term of elected officials, a provision stating that the VPE in September 2026 is not a special election, but a continuation of the 2025 national and local elections is already in the file bill of the chairperson. From this provision, a legal conclusion can be drawn to the effect that the term of office of local elected officials started after the original schedule of election in accordance with the provision of the Bangsamoro Organic Law. This will not violate the 3-year term. We know that there's a distinction between the term of office and the full service of term. The use of an automated election system. There is a provision, Chair, in the counterpart bill filed in the House that COMELEC is allowed to use other modes of electoral system, limited to a manual system. We do not support this provision, Chair, because given the history of election violence in the region, the speed and accuracy provided by an AES will be critical. Swift results reduce the window for election stability and fraud and boost public confidence in the first regular election. So that's our position, Chair, as to the file bill of the committee.
Thank you very much, Attorney. And I think the idea and the plan of COMELEC is to automate it.
At all costs, Mr. Chair.
At all costs, I agree with you, Chairman, because the speed is important and mahirap yung mano-mano dun sa lugar na magkakagulo talaga. Next is from the Citizenship and Parliamentary Initiative, Attorney Latif.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Magandang hapon po, Chairman Mix Supiri at si Deputy Deputy Esito. Ako po ay nagpahayag ngayon ng aking suporta sa batas para magkaroon po ng eleksyon. Ang isyong pagkalakay po sa ngayon ay kung yung paghahari ng batas o ulo-ulo at karapatan ng mamamayang Bangsamoro na may tatag ng kanilang pamahalaan. Ang Bangsamoro Organic Law po ay malinaw. Ang pamahalaan ng rehiyon ay dapat hinahalal at kinagawa nito ng taong bayan. Ang parlamento, ang sentro ng sariling pamahalaan nito po ay right to self-determination at self-governance. Ang Bangsamoro po ay hindi makakaboto sa March 30, 2026 dahil nagkaroon ng deferment ng COMELEC ng eleksyon. Ganun din po, hindi po nakaboto yung Bangsamoro noong October 13 dahil sa COMELEC. Pinagpaliban din noong May 9, 2022. Ganun din po, hindi po nakaboto yung Bangsamoro at May 12, 2025 po. Apat na beses po ay tila bigo po ang Bangsamoro magtaguyod na ng kanyang halal na gobyerno at hanggang ngayon. 10 years po ang pinakahuling eleksyon sa Bangsamoro. May 2016, si Judy Villarosa po. Siya po ang nag-advocate na synchronized election law. Ako po yung naging lawyer doon sa Comelec. At argue doon, ito po yung pinag-discuss dito na Ida versus Comelec. Pati po yung dinidiscuss na lang ng Ali, ako po yung abogado doon ni Commander Bravo tungkol sa constitutionality ng BA 777, pati po doon sa BA 35 na nakabimbing ngayon sa Supreme Court. Nagtataka po ako dahil for the span of 10 months, tatlong postponement po ang election sa farm. Bakit ito ay nangyayari lang sa farm? Yung po ang aking katanungan. Kanina po, ang ating chairman ng Comelec ay marami siyang sinasabi tungkol dito sa yung uding municipality, baka maka-apekto to sa eleksyon sa farm, pati yung bagong batas, na BTA, 88. Ang batayang kulang demokrasya ay halalan po. So, for the very longer time po, ang Bangsamoro po ay hindi po katikim po ng ito pong pagtaguyod sa akin. Promise po yan ng comprehensive agreement on Bangsamoro. 7 times po, nung panahon po ng ARMM ay napuspon po. Binila ko po kung ilang taon po yung walang elected at unelected official ng BARC. 12 years po out of the 36 years. So, ibig sabihin po, 1/3. Bakit po ang hirap itaguyod yung aming kasarinlan sa Bangsamoro? Ang buhay na batas po ay itong Republica 12123. Ito po yung siniset yung election sa October 13, 2025. Ito po ay buhay na batas. Hindi po ito na-declare na unconstitutional. Hindi po natin kailangan ng bagong batas para i-set yung election kasi meron na pong batas. Ina-address ko po ito sa Senado kasi yung Senado po ang nag-inak nitong batas. Actually, ito po yung naging decision ng Supreme Court na mag-election dahil nag-declare unconstitutional ng BA 77. Balikan po natin yung BA 77. Ang BA 77 ay lahat ng operative provision po na ginawa ng BTA na declare unconstitutional. Alam ko po yun. Ako po yung nag-raise sa mula ng Philippines Supreme Court. Tapos po, isang issue doon po ay dahil ginawa yung batas na yun during election period. Ngayon po,
Nasa bahay, hindi pa naman sumasagot siya.
Sila ng election at sila activity.
Nasa bahay.
BA 86, within election period, nagkaroon po ng violation. Na-complicate ngayon po kasi merong BA 88. Ano po ang sinasabi po ng Republica 12123? Na batas po, kasi ito po yung pinagdidibatihan kanina. Section 4, kasi buhay po ng batas ito, hindi po natin i-declare, hindi pa po dinideclare ng Supreme Court na unconstitutional. For the purpose of this act, aspirants who file their certificate of candidacy for the parliamentary district and nominees for party representatives listed in the certificates of nomination, acceptance incorporated in the manifestation of intent to participate, filed with duly accredited political parties from November 4 to November 9, 2025 shall be, ito po yung operative fact, automatically considered as candidate and nominees in October.
Oh, sorry guys.
Na walang eleksyon ng
Ano na to?
October 13, 2025 election na hindi puntos of issue na po ito. Ibig sabihin po, merong limitasyon yung BTA para mag-inak na baguhin itong nakasaad sa Constitution na hindi automatic candidates po kung sino yung nakapile. Hindi ko lang alam. Wala naman ako sinusuportahan din. Ay nandoon po sino. Ano po yung provision nitong batas na to? Actually, hindi po mandatory sa batas na to nang mag-enact ng districting law. Nakalagay dito, provided that the Comelec shall have the authority to issue appropriate guidelines on the filing of certificate of candidacy in case the seats originally allocated to province of Sulu area portion by the Bangsamoro Parliament. So wala pong reapportionment, eleksyon na po sa amin po sa Bangsamoro ay palagi pong napopostpone.
Bakit yun?
Ang synchronization ko, mabigay po ako kung bakit ay nandiyan at bakit hindi kailangan ng synchronization. Una po yung kaso ni Pida versus Comelec. Pangalawa po, nung panahon po ng ERN,
Wala nang pera. Anos,
hindi po rin nangangahulugan na wala na rin pong jurisdiction ng Supreme Court. Susundin po ba natin yung decision? Effective po ba rin yung decision ng Supreme Court? O susuwayin po natin? Meron po ba rin yung issue ng separation of powers? Dahil ang Supreme Court ay nakatalo niya yung kailan yung eleksyon. Nagbigay ko siya ng tanin. Under the compliance with Section 5 of Voters Registration Act, respondent of Commission on Election is directed to promptly proceed with its preparation and conduct of election on March 31, 2026. This decision shall be immediately executed. Buhay pa rin po ito. Sabi ko sa MPC na isa, yung only those who are in a high position participating in the decision making, they don't inform those who are affected by the decision. Ito po isang research na sinabi nila. This sentence release organization under the Paris Act over a sense of inclusion of self-worth. Parang ito kami nagkaroon ng Marawi Seeds noong 2017. Nagkaroon ng failure po sa BDL1. So ngayon po, comprehensive ng Bangsamoro Agreement na Bangsamoro Government po. Kasi yung hindi po gobyerno yan. Ang gobyerno po ay hinala ng mga tao. Yung unelected po, hindi po gobyerno yan. Hanggang ngayon wala po kami. So, yun po, yung kuwan ng demokrasya, kami nagpupuno ng mga kuwan. Tinanong po si Diesel, si CA, ano ba, bakit na kasi sila po yung dyan sa private conflict monitoring. Tumaas po yung incident price. Siguro alam niyo po yung stability. So, ang masasabi ko lang po dito, ang COMELEC ay may kapangyarihan din na magkaroon na ng eleksyon, i-implement yung Republic Act 12123 at yung mga sinasabi nila, yung BTA action na magdidinig ito na naman, mga reasons po ay sana po Bangsamoro po ay maitayunan niya at maitabuyo ni Bangsamoro. Pinangako ng CAP, pinangako ng BBUM, at ngayon ay wala pa rin kami demokrasya dahil wala kami gobyerno. Salamat po sa inyo.
Thank you, Marina Team. So quickly lang before I recognize Ma'am Lizelle Buktay, Chairman, that's the second time I heard that you can actually, yeah, Chairman, you can actually be the one to set the date. Is
Mr. Chair, the public can accept the date. Yung Republic Act 1212 is very clear. The date is October 13. Now, if we are going to cite the decision in the Ali case, the Supreme Court is very clear likewise. 1, 2, 3. After compliance ng number 1, after compliance ng number 2, saka papasok yung duty ni Comelec to set the date of the election which cannot be beyond March 31. Yan po yung compliance number 1, number 2 for the Bangsamoro Parliament to enact a districting law by October 30. Ang pangalawa, follow Section 5 of Republic Act.
Wala tayo. Okay guys, video na over. Ano na yung cellphone ko. Thanks for watching. Bye!